Everyone loves the beach, sunbathing and lounging in the sun, splashing in the waves, and breathing in the ocean air. But it's not always so perfect. The beach can sometimes be a dangerous and frightening place where unpleasant surprises await you, like a whale carcass or secret messages in a bottle. The cutest thing is encountering a giant turtle. And if luck isn't on your side, there might be a hurricane or tsunami. If you're interested, stay with us on the TopFacts channel and let's explore 15 special cases when the beach ceased to be a paradise. If they weren't captured on camera, you simply wouldn't believe that such things happen. We wish you an exciting viewing, and of course, let's go. In Japanese, this word means wave in the bay, and recently it has become one of the most real tourist fears. When you live in a hotel by the ocean, you listen at night. Are the waves crashing against the shore, or have they receded, only to return? The tsunami near the city of Sendai was a terrifying natural disaster that occurred in northeastern Japan in March 2011. It all started with a powerful earthquake off the coast of the country's main island, Honshu. The tremors on land triggered a series of tsunami waves that devastated coastal areas. In the Tohoku region, the tsunami led to a major nuclear power plant accident. The damage was immense and even caused a rupture in the subduction zone, where one tectonic plate hides beneath another. The Japanese Trench, separating the Eurasian plate from the Pacific plate, an area about 300 kilometers long and 150 kilometers wide, was disturbed by massive changes. Echoes of this earthquake, with aftershocks reaching magnitudes of 7 and higher, were felt far away, in Russia, China, and Taiwan. This earthquake was the most powerful since the late 19th century, when records of natural disasters began. The tsunami was horrifying. A series of extremely destructive waves reached heights of up to 10 meters, and the water penetrated nearly 10 kilometers inland, causing the Natori River to flood. Large areas of land remained submerged in seawater. Not to mention the human lives caught in this devastating blow, it meant numerous deaths and people missing. You can see that humans and all the technology in the world are powerless against such a massive catastrophe. All that remains is to pray and hope that Mother Nature will not repeat this monstrous experience soon. In the morning on a beach in Mexico, you might not only encounter vacationers, but also soldiers disembarking from the sea, along with hundreds of tanks. The sight of such a massive military invasion would make you shudder. Thousands of people and vehicles lined up on the sand, marching along the entire coastline, and this spectacle was extremely unsettling. Where do we know if these were exercises or something ominously real? First, we'd like to understand whether this military force belongs to Mexico or if a foreign army is landing on the beach. In any case, such an active display of force had some purpose. Please let us know what you think about this beach landing. Sometimes the invasion of small terrestrial creatures can make more noise than an alien visit. Once on the coast of Southern California, there was an invasion of tiny red crabs. Such a spectacle could have been the plot of a horror movie. Hundreds of bright red and orange crabs somehow emerged from the ocean to carpet the entire shore. They painted all the roads and beaches raspberry red, as if someone had prepared a red carpet of lobsters. We are talking about a carpet of hundreds of thousands of crabs that were washed ashore by fate, and they had nothing to do but travel further. A terrifying sight when this army covers the Earth's surface with their bodies. Experts believe that this is related to global warming. The hotter the southern currents become, the more likely it is that temperatures can push animals beyond their usual habitat zones. In southern and central California, this event was recorded as a deviation from the norm. Imagine these crabs even pinched desperately. So walks on the beaches of the west coast of America hide many quirks and surprises. Sea lions are not like cats. These are cheeky marine infantrymen who boldly climb onto your transport to get something to eat. Ernest and Vesia Godak were enjoying a pleasant day in Pedder Bay near the southern tip of Vancouver Island when they saw a flock of orcas flying by. It was very cute. Such proximity to wild marine nature, but the next visit became an intrusive intrusion into private life. A sea lion jumped out of the water within arm's reach and almost sank their boat. Perhaps the couple exclaimed in unison, "Hey, buddy, you weren't invited here at all." Imagine how heavy this sea lion is. Maybe it needed a bigger boat that the orcas were chasing. These predators are among the dominant species in the food chain. They know no mercy. Perhaps the sea lion was seeking protection from enemies. The lion was very lucky that this couple was in its path. It even received a treat and took it as an invitation to come on board. Isn't it clever? We've heard the story of Jonah, who was swallowed by a whale. In 2010, it almost happened to 2 women. Julie and Liz were kayaking and approached closer to admire the humpback whales hunting for silvery fish. Herring, but the ladies got too close, and when the whale jumped to the surface, the kayak and both women ended up right in its open mouth. Oh, the horror. Everyone thought he had swallowed them along with the boat. Then the kayak was spotted floating nearby, but the tourists didn't appear. Only a few seconds later, Liz and Julie surfaced. They were, of course, shocked but unharmed. Humpback whales do not attack people, but if you get too close to their food, the whale may not react quickly enough to close its huge mouth in front of you. Both women took a long time to recover from the experience and admitted that it all happened so quickly that they didn't have time to understand if they were already inside the whale or not, because they had already seen its mouth from the inside and thought it was its stomach. And when they resurfaced, they also wondered if they were free or if there was so much water inside the whale. They were lucky to fall into the water next to their kayak and not get injured, and they were also close to each other and were able to assess the situation rationally. And now they have a worthy story to tell at the table again and again. Observing whales is one of the best entertainments we can afford ourselves. But we must realize that whales are not performing in a circus. They simply live and do not think that their actions can injure or scare us. We should think before going on such an excursion. Sperm whales often appear on the water's surface, splashing their tails and flippers. And did you know that whales can communicate with their peers over thousands of kilometers? The methods they use are very individual. Sometimes they want to send a telegram to the entire community or to those fellow beings who are nearby. All they have is their fins, tails, and variations of sound signals. Sound travels a great distance in the water, and using different frequencies is like different messengers. Whales can send and recognize both ultrasonic, high-frequency, and infrasound, low-frequency signals. This is crucial for their navigation, feeding, and reproduction. This is the natural form of communication among whales in the immeasurable depths of the ocean, where they can send warnings to each other, establish dominance, and complain about annoying skin parasites. A huge number of whales are getting stranded and trapped. Since the end of last December, more than 18 massive whales have been washed up on the Atlantic Ocean coast in the New Jersey area, and many of them were simply enormous. Among them were sperm whales and humpback whales. This phenomenon has been occurring more frequently since 2016. There is an unusual increase in whale mortality, and scientists have to dissect all these giant carcasses to understand the cause. Nearly 40% of the deaths resulted from unsuccessful interactions with human civilization, either colliding with ships or getting entangled in nets, suffering life-incompatible mechanical injuries. In this story, another whale the size of a school bus was washed up on the shore. According to a group of volunteers dedicated to protecting and cleaning coastal areas, the repeated deaths of whales may be linked to the development of shelves in the Atlantic. Operational wind turbine generators have altered the ecology of the whale's habitat. It's terrifying and sad to witness such a sight, and it's also very worrisome for the planet's future. What if this unprecedented number of deaths in the last half-century leads to the extinction of entire species of these majestic animals? Federal agencies claim there is no concrete evidence linking the whale's deaths to wind energy exploitation. But for some reason, these massive and amazing creatures are washing up en masse on the shore. Local residents and activists, including surfers, are actively calling for further investigation. People want to preserve the whales and help them. Your opinion is also very important. Do you believe there is a connection between the whales' deaths and human activities in the ocean? When the entire beach is littered with dead fish, we can blame not only Kanye West with his silly song about gay fish. A massive fish die-off occurred on the shore of Freeport Beach in America. Official sources cite several reasons. First, the water temperature near the shore was much higher than usual, reaching more than 21 degrees Celsius, which led to a lack of oxygen. Fish cannot swim in hot broth. There's simply no air to breathe. The second reason is the absence of waves. When the sea is as calm as a mirror, hot water turns it into a cauldron with nowhere to escape. Thirdly, there was overcast weather that hindered photosynthesis. On a sunny day, more oxygen is produced. Did you not know this? It's really important and interesting to understand how our planet works. On sunny days with active photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide content in the air drops to 0.012%, and the same principle applies in the ocean. Unfortunately, you can't add a bubble filter to this global aquarium, and it's awful to see how many fish died due to unfortunate circumstances. Dead sharks, trout, perch, catfish, and stingrays covered the shore. Imagine the smell there. The worst part is that this happens almost every summer in the Gulf of Mexico near Texas. One of the largest dead zones in the world is formed. Fish cannot adapt to such conditions and suffocate in the deadly hot water. Right now, the games have ended, and before us lies a massive pile of waste from human activities, which only continues to accumulate every day. This graveyard of refuse fills both land and sea, and the pollution of the environment is something we would rather turn away from, yawning. The garbage accumulating on the shores is a growing problem. It simply washes up on the beach, and who knows, maybe soon we won't be able to enjoy beach vacations as before. All of this is unsafe for human health. We estimate the damage in billions of dollars or pounds, and for animals, this garbage simply means life or death. Every year, a huge amount of plastic and toxic substances end up in the ocean, brought to the shore by waves and tides, while we drink coffee, work, watch movies, and sleep. Even worse, some of the trash sinks to the bottom of the sea and is consumed by its inhabitants. Definitely not the meal they would order. The combination of chemicals and garbage leads to ecological disasters, causing harm directly to all organisms, including us. No one wants to relax on a littered beach, let alone live in such an environment. It's frustrating that this is happening as a result of conscious human activity. The harm done to aquatic ecosystems and the wild environment is a shared responsibility, where we will also have to answer. Imagine the shelf life of a plastic bottle. It's the moment we pour soda from it. And then it drifts in the ocean for decades, posing a deadly threat to the fish we love to catch and eat, to the water, and to the microorganisms that live to cleanse the ocean. Any junk that is not recycled or disposed of properly, whether it's a canned food can or a plastic bag, eventually reaches the beach and ruins our lives. Especially during heavy rain or storms, all this nightmare flows into lagoons and stays there forever. Residential or commercial waste, fishing nets and lines, all of this poses a real danger to life. What can we do right now? Well, at the very least, promise yourself never to litter on the beach and take the traces of a beach picnic to the city landfill. This will truly help everyone. Everyone loves giant turtles. They are cute and intelligent. But on a beach in Gringate Lane in Norfolk, England, a massive female leatherback sea turtle weighing around 360 kilograms was found dead. Perhaps this was a shock to local beachgoers, as this species is quite rare for southern England. Although turtles have been spotted here before, such a massive find was unusual. It's possible she died from a collision with a ship, but there was no direct evidence. The turtle was found lying on her back with her shell down. Maybe her 360 kilograms, that's quite a lot, was too much for her to flip over on land. And with a length of 5 meters, She's larger than a motorcycle, making transporting her body a challenging task for coastal authorities. It's not surprising that the environmental service worker who discovered the body couldn't even budget. Usually, when an unusual animal appears on the beach, conservation authorities try to mark them with paint, attach sensors, and track their movements. Perhaps the cause of this turtle's death was the tide, which flipped her massive body onto her back, and she simply couldn't flip herself back over. This is an unusual method of water conservation, but how does it work, you may ask? Imagine hundreds of thousands of black spheres floating on the water's surface. These balls have filled the entire bay near Los Angeles. In places prone to drought, these balls can be effective. They are made of polyethylene, are black, and have a diameter of about 25 centimeters. How does this work? Firstly, they reduce evaporation by 85% by creating shade from the sun. Ingenious, isn't it? Initially, these balls were intended to save birds from landing in toxic bodies of water near mining sites. Airports also adopted the idea to deter birds from runways by filling nearby ponds with these balls. It's interesting to consider how these balls could work in the ocean, perhaps absorbing toxic substances that have leaked into the water. The composition of these balls is such that they are self-disposable. They are made from biodegradable polyethylene material that breaks down on its own after several months without harming the environment. What do you know about similar technologies? Remember the character from the cartoon about Scrooge McDuck? Cute little duckling, everyone's favorite bath time companion, has grown literally to gigantic proportions and set out to conquer the open waters. For over 15 years, Dutch conceptual artist Florentijn Hofman has been promoting his project, Giant Rubber Ducks. He managed to place his rubber sculptures in more than 10 cities around the world, and each duck is unique, with heights ranging from 16 to 25 meters. One of his ducks swam to Hong Kong to celebrate its 10th birthday in 2013. Another pair of rubber ducks sailed at an exhibition in China. One more was in the Summer Palace Lake in Beijing, and in Taiwan, thousands of people gathered to see the duck in the port. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a rubber duck was towed up the Allegheny River. There, too, a huge crowd awaited it to see the duck skyscraper. The giant duck also accompanies ships in the port of Los Angeles. Imagine going on vacation and seeing such a guide for the fleet. Sometimes people play with very large toys, and the most amazing thing is that it amuses a good portion of the world. The oldest message in a bottle spent 108 years, 4 months, and 18 days at sea. And this delivery was still faster than some postal shipments. The letter was thrown into the sea by the Marine Biological Association of the United Kingdom in November 1906 and was found near the German island of Amrum in 2015. The Guinness World Records recognized it as the oldest message in a bottle, even though over 1,000 bottles with notes were sent into the North Sea. These bottles were sent into the future by marine biologist George Parker Bitter. Each bottle was part of a research project that spanned a century. You might wonder what was in those letters. They contained postcards. The bottle that washed up on the shores of Amrum Island was discovered by a German citizen. Interestingly, the card promised a reward of 1 shilling, which is amusing because this currency is no longer in circulation. Nonetheless, the sender's representative turned out to be a punctual person with a sense of humor, and bought a 1 shilling coin at an auction to send the deserved reward along with a thank you letter. This experiment was a form of what is now called a focus group or statistics. About 55% of the bottles were caught in the sea, mainly by fishermen. But the biologist was able to prove a century later that the North Sea has deep water currents flowing from east to west, and he also immortalized his name in the Guinness World Records. This monster appeared on the New Zealand beach of Aramoana, near the town of Dunedin. A huge ribbonfish was discovered by a local resident named Isaac Williams. The creature stretched approximately 5 meters in length, and remarkably, a woman named Allen, a marine biologist by profession, happened to be on the same beach at that moment. She noticed Williams struggling in the water and decided to approach and inquire about it. When she recognized the fish, she was stunned. For statistics, this is approximately the 5th observation of the New Zealand fish known as oarfish, also called ribbonfish, ribbontail, or king of herrings, a unique semi-deep sea fish found in moderately warm waters of the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans. Such fish can grow to enormous sizes. They inhabit depths of up to 200 meters and can easily become the source of many legends about sea monsters due to their frightening appearance. They are extremely rare to encounter for people, only if they are washed ashore. This fish, which ended up on the coast of New Zealand, although it was alive, appeared extremely weak. The whole group on the beach made a great effort to return the fish to the water, but unfortunately, it couldn't come back to life. In the end, it was taken out of the water, simply to find out what kind of unusual creature it was. How it washed up on the shore is unclear, but most likely it was brought here from the deep water canyons off the coast of Otago. Imagine that you're going to the beach to relax and sunbathe, but you find yourself in the middle of a blockbuster movie scene, not the cinema version, but right in the midst of a real-life chase and arrest. Perhaps this is a worthy replica of the movie Point Break, where the villain is caught in the foam of the waves. A real police chase is unfolding before our eyes on the beach in Los Angeles, where police officers have apprehended a suspect in a robbery. A prolonged foot chase on the sandy beach under the scorching sun is no walk in the park, and the fugitive resisted for quite some time, instinctively seeking refuge in the waves. Perhaps, like the anti-hero of a cult movie, he wanted to end his story in the ocean. The Los Angeles Police Department tracked down the suspect near the famous Santa Monica Pier, and the outcome of this chase resembled a safari. Like lions on a zebra, the police officers pounced on the criminal right in the water, which is not easy to do when your movements are constrained by a tight-fitting uniform. Nevertheless, the robber's wrists were handcuffed, and he was escorted to the nearest police station. This beach is not the most peaceful place in the city. Here's a similar incident. A man in a state of agitation provoked a mass brawl using weapons, metal poles used for beach umbrellas. What do you think about that? Fortunately, the police reacted quickly, and no one was injured. Our attention always seems to dull a bit at the beach, doesn't it? When the sun is shining and the waves are splashing, it seems like everything around is as perfect as the weather. But no. Keep your ears sharp. The beach can be dangerous too. It's a good thing the police don't sunbathe, they work. The beach is just as wild an environment as the forest. So let's thank life that instead of a criminal climbing onto our yacht, a sea lion did, and instead of a shark, a humpback whale opened its mouth for us. In any case, we wish you a peaceful vacation on any shores. If you enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the TopFacts channel if you want to see more interesting content.